A dark storm gathers above the Heartland ranch, but the real trouble is not in the clouds. It's in the hearts of the people trying to hold everything together. As thunder rolls across Hudson, Amy faces a challenge that pushes her past her comfort zone. Jack confronts the limits he refuses to admit, and the storm outside slowly reveals the storms within. The episode opens with a heavy sky hanging over the Heartland ranch. The wind has a strange stillness to it, the kind that makes animals restless and people uneasy. The weather report warns of a strong storm heading straight toward Hudson, but what no one knows yet is how deeply it will affect each member of the family. The ranch has survived many storms over the years, but this one seems different, not because of the weather, but because of everything that has been building inside the people who call this place home. Amy steps out of the barn, brushing dirt off her hands as she studies the sky. She doesn't like how fast the clouds are moving. There's a pressure in the air that makes her chest tighten, almost like the world is warning her about something she can't see. Even the horses sense it. They shift nervously behind her, snorting and pacing as if the wind already carries the smell of trouble. Amy whispers calming words to them, but deep down she feels the same fear they do. This episode focuses heavily on resilience, the kind of strength that isn't loud or dramatic, but quiet and steady, the kind that grows only after someone has been hurt. Over the last several seasons, Amy has gone through more than she ever expected. Loss, healing, learning to be both a mother and a trainer, and trying to find space for herself again. Episode 7 brings all of that back to the surface. The storm outside becomes a mirror for the storm inside her, forcing her to deal with emotions she keeps tucked away behind her calm smile. But Amy isn't the only one wrestling with something heavy. Jack is also battling a conflict of his own, though he hides it beneath his usual stubborn strength. As the storm approaches, he prepares the ranch like he always does, checking the fences, making sure the gates are secure, and giving orders in his firm voice. But behind that steady mask, Jack is struggling with the weight of the years catching up to him. He wants to prove he can still handle anything Mother Nature throws at him. Yet the worry in Lisa's eyes tells us she sees the truth he refuses to admit. The episode doesn't rush into drama. Instead, it lets the tension grow slowly, allowing us to feel every shift in the wind and every uneasy glance between the characters. It gives viewers time to settle into the emotional tone before the real chaos begins. Each scene builds carefully on the one before it, pulling us deeper into the hearts and minds of the characters we've followed for so long. Meanwhile, Tim is dealing with a challenge of his own. He's training a young bronc rider, a teenager with talent but fear hiding under his bravado. The storm threatens to derail their session, and as thunder rumbles across the valley, Tim sees something in the boy's expression that reminds him of his younger self. Reckless, desperate to prove something, and terrified of failing. This connection sets up one of the strongest emotional moments later in the episode. But here in the opening section, it serves as another dark cloud forming on the horizon. The ranch becomes a symbol of tension. The animals grow restless. The air thickens. Lindy hugs Amy tightly, saying she doesn't like storms. Amy tries to smile, but her eyes betray a deeper worry. She knows storms can break things. Fences, trees, and sometimes even people. And this storm feels like one that won't pass quietly. As the camera pans across the darkening sky, we hear the rumble of thunder rolling closer. The sound blends with the rising emotional tension, reminding us that change is coming, whether anyone is ready or not. Heartland has always been about family, healing, and the way life keeps moving forward, even when it hurts. Episode 7 sets up a story that challenges all of those themes at once. The storm becomes both a threat and a test, pushing each character toward a moment of truth. By the time the first drops of rain hit the dusty ground, the audience can feel that the real storm is not just in the sky, it's in the choices the characters must make, the fears they must face, and the secrets that are about to surface. The foundation of the episode is laid with careful detail, creating a sense of rising pressure that keeps viewers leaning in, waiting for the moment when everything breaks open. The storm may be building into the sky, but for Amy it begins earlier, with the arrival of a frightened rescue horse. The trailer pulls into the Heartland yard just as the wind picks up, carrying the uneasy charge of the coming storm. The driver steps out and explains that the horse has recently been found wandering after being separated from its owner during a thunderstorm. Since then, the animal has been unpredictable, nervous, and easily triggered by loud sounds. It's the kind of challenge only Amy seems able to face. As the horse steps off the trailer, its eyes are wide with fear, scanning every shadow as if something terrible is hiding just out of sight. Amy moves slowly, speaking in a gentle voice that is almost a whisper. Her soft tone calms the horse enough for her to approach, but she can feel the tension trembling beneath its skin. Every muscle is tight, ready to run at the smallest noise. When thunder rumbles in the distance, the horse jerks violently, pulling at the lead rope until Amy steadies it with both hands. Right away, Amy feels a connection, one she didn't expect. The fear in the horse's eyes reminds her of a place inside herself she rarely visits anymore. A place shaped by grief, by the storms she has weathered in her own life. She takes a deep breath and steadies her heart, knowing that helping this horse might mean facing emotions she keeps buried. She doesn't say it out loud, but the audience knows. Amy is not just trying to calm the horse. She's trying to calm a part of herself that still trembles in the dark. Inside the round pen, Amy begins her work. She moves with patience, reading the horse's body language, trying to find the hidden root of its fear. Every time the wind shakes the metal gates, the horse flinches and spins, eyes wide as if trapped in an old memory. Amy understands trauma. She has learned that fear doesn't disappear just because time has passed. She speaks to the horse as though she is speaking to herself. It's okay. You're safe. It cannot hurt you now. But she knows overcoming fear isn't that simple. While working with the horse, Amy has a moment of quiet reflection. She watches how the animal reacts to the sound of thunder, jumping, twisting, backing away even when nothing touches it. She sees her own journey in this behavior, the way certain memories still catch them off guard, the way sudden hurt can pull her back into the past. For a moment, she stops and places a hand on the horse's neck. The touch isn't just for the horse, it's for her own healing too. Later in the barn, Lindy appears with concern written across her face. She knows her mom well enough to sense when something is weighing on her. Lindy asks if the horse is scared because of the storm. Amy smiles softly and explains that sometimes fear stays with us long after the storm is over. Lindy listens carefully, and although she doesn't fully understand, her innocent questions make Amy think more deeply about her own struggles. When Lindy asks, "Mom, are you ever scared too?" Amy hesitates. She wants to be strong for her daughter, but she also wants to be honest. She finally replies, "Yes, sweetheart, but being scared doesn't make us weak. It just means we're human." This moment becomes a subtle yet powerful emotional beat in the episode. It shows Amy opening up, something she doesn't often do, and it hints that her journey in this episode isn't only about the rescue horse. It's also about rediscovering her own strength and patience with herself. The storm outside is growing darker, and the sound of thunder is becoming more frequent, echoing through the barn like distant footsteps. The horses shift nervously, and Amy works to keep them calm. As the clouds grow heavier and the wind howls louder across the open fields, Amy leads the rescue horse back into its stall. She promises the frightened animal that she won't give up on it, even if progress is slow. Her voice is steady, but her eyes reveal something deeper, a determination mixed with vulnerability. She knows this storm will test her, not just as a trainer, but as a mother, a friend, and a woman who has lived through heartbreak. By the time Amy steps out of the barn, the sky is nearly black. The storm is close now, and the first flashes of lightning stretch across the horizon. Amy doesn't flinch, but she does pause. She feels the weight of what's coming, not just the rain and wind, but the emotional challenges she can no longer ignore. The wind whips her hair around her face as she looks out across the ranch, and for a moment she stands completely still, gathering her courage. The camera slowly pulls back, showing Amy as a small figure against the massive, stormy sky. It's a powerful visual that captures the heart of her storyline, a woman facing something much bigger than herself, yet standing strong because she refuses to let fear win. The storm is coming fast, and whether she's ready or not, Amy will have to ride through it, just like the horse she's trying to help. The wind grows stronger as dark clouds swallow the last bit of daylight, and the ranch begins to feel smaller beneath the heavy sky. Inside the house, Lisa watches through the window while Jack zips up his old weathered jacket. He looks calm, almost too calm, as he checks his gloves and hat like a man preparing for a familiar job. But Lisa knows better. She has spent enough years by Jack's side to see past the tough exterior he wears so easily. The cattle have scattered across the back fields, pushed around by the rising wind. Jack says he needs to ride out and bring them in before the storm hits. His voice is steady, but Lisa hears the strain beneath it, the quiet pressure he puts on himself, the belief that everything on the ranch must remain his responsibility. He has faced countless storms before, but this time feels different. His age, the rough weather, the uneven terrain, all of it adds up to a risk he refuses to acknowledge. Lisa steps closer, her eyes filled with concern. She tells him the storm is coming in faster than expected, that the cattle can wait, that he doesn't need to prove anything. But Jack shakes his head. He insists it's just routine work, nothing he can't handle. His stubborn pride pushes him forward, even as thunder begins to rumble like a warning rolling across the land. This is where Jack's storyline gains emotional weight. The storm outside becomes a symbol of the internal struggle he's been avoiding for months. He knows he isn't as strong as he once was. He knows his body can't recover from injuries the way it used to. But the thought of stepping back, of letting someone else take over, feels like losing a piece of himself. The ranch has always been his heart, his purpose, his legacy. He can't imagine watching from the sidelines. Lisa reaches out and places a hand on his arm, and for a moment Jack hesitates. The wind pushes against the windows, rattling them like an impatient visitor demanding attention. Lisa pleads with him to consider the danger. She reminds him of the last time he was hurt, how long it took him to recover, and how scared she was. Her voice trembles slightly as she speaks, and that tremble hits Jack harder than the thunder outside. But Jack is a man built from decades of hard work, challenges, and responsibility. He gently pulls his arm away and gives her a small, reassuring smile. He tells her he'll be fine, that storms like this have come and gone plenty of times, and that the cattle need to be brought in. He speaks with confidence, but behind his eyes lies a quiet shadow of doubt, a doubt he refuses to say out loud. Lisa watches him walk toward the door, her expression torn between love and fear. She knows arguing won't change his mind, not tonight, not with the storm already breathing down their necks. Instead, she tells him to be careful, her voice soft but firm. Jack nods, puts on his hat, and steps outside into the wind that nearly pulls it off his head. The storm greets him immediately, pushing against his body as if testing his resolve. Out in the yard, Jack crosses toward the barn, where his horse waits nervously. The sky flickers with sharp flashes of lightning, illuminating his silhouette for brief seconds. The old barn creaks under the force of the wind, but Jack moves with determination, refusing to let fear or age slow him down. He saddles his horse with practiced hands, though the tremor in his fingers shows the effort it takes. Before he mounts, Jack pauses. His breath hangs in the cold air as he looks across the field where the cattle are scattered. The rolling thunder grows louder, closer, heavier. Memories wash over him, of past storms, past losses, past moments when he had no choice but to stand strong. There's a pain in his chest that isn't from the wind or the rain. It's from the realization that his life is changing, and he can't stop it. Still, Jack swings into the saddle. The horse shifts nervously beneath him, sensing the storm's growing rage. Jack pats its neck, murmuring words to calm it. As he starts toward the open field, rain begins to fall in heavy drops that darken his jacket. The ranch behind him fades into shadows, and he rides forward with the stubborn bravery that defines him. Back in the house, Lisa stands by the window, the storm reflecting in her worried eyes. She wraps her arms around herself, unable to shake the fear that something might go wrong. The connection between her and Jack has always been strong, built on trust, respect, and shared battles. But tonight she feels powerless. She can only wait, hope, and pray that the storm will spare the man she loves. As Jack disappears into the storm, the scene captures the heart of his journey. A man fighting the changes time brings. A man holding on to his purpose even when the world pushes back. a man whose pride and love for his ranch drive him into danger. The storm has arrived, and Jack is riding straight into it, determined to protect what he has built, even if it means facing truths he has long refused to accept. The storm continues to pull itself across the sky, growing darker, louder, and heavier by the minute. While Amy battles the fear inside the rescue horse and Jack heads out into the rising wind, Tim is facing a different kind of storm, one made of fear, pride, and the pressure to prove something. The training session with the young bronc rider was supposed to be a simple one, just another afternoon of drills, advice, and tough love. But the sky begins to twist into a deep gray as the session begins, and the growing wind carries tension into every corner of the arena. The young rider, whose name is Cole, tries to pretend the weather doesn't bother him. He cracks jokes, adjusts his gear, and forces a smile, but Tim sees through it. Cole is talented, more talented than he realizes, but he's carrying fear in his chest like a weight he refuses to put down. Every time thunder echoes across the valley, he flinches. He tries to hide it by brushing dirt off his jeans or fiddling with the rope in his hands. But Tim knows the signs. He's seen them before. In other riders, in troubled young men, and in the mirror. Tim calls him out, not gently but not cruelly either. He tells Cole that pretending to be brave isn't the same as being brave, that ignoring fear doesn't make it disappear. Cole snaps back, insisting he's fine, that he doesn't need to talk about feelings, that he just wants to ride. But Tim doesn't budge. He refuses to let Cole step into the arena with that kind of tension twisting inside him. Not with the storm building, not with the risk so high. The wind kicks up dust around them as the sky cracks with lightning, the flash reflecting in Cole's wide eyes. Tim remembers a younger version of himself standing in that same mix of fear and pride, pretending everything was under control when it clearly wasn't. He steps closer, lowering his voice so Cole has no choice but to listen. He tells him about mistakes, real ones, not the polished, cleaned-up versions adults usually share with teenagers. Tim admits he pushed himself too hard when he was younger, that he tried to outrun fear instead of facing it, that he ended up getting hurt because he couldn't admit he was scared. Cole doesn't respond at first. He looks away, jaw tight, shoulders stiff. The storm is creeping closer, and the sound of thunder rolls across the land like an old memory Tim would rather forget. Finally, Cole asks quietly if being scared means he'll never be good enough. And for a moment, Tim softens. He tells Cole something he rarely admits. Fear doesn't make you weak. Not knowing what to do with it does. That moment becomes the emotional heart of Tim's storyline in this episode. It's raw, vulnerable, and honest in a way that shows the depth Tim often hides beneath his tough exterior. It also marks a rare connection between mentor and student, one based not on skill or technique, but on truth. As the first drops of rain begin to fall, Cole reluctantly agrees to talk instead of ride. They move into the barn, sheltering from the wind as the storm begins its full assault. Inside, the air is thick with the smell of hay and electricity. Horses stomp nervously in their stalls, picking up on the rising tension. Tim knows training is out of the question now, but he also sees this storm as a chance to help Cole break through the fear that has been holding him back. Cole opens up more than Tim expects. He admits he's been afraid ever since a bad fall last season, one that he never told anyone the full truth about. He hit the ground harder than he let on. He felt pain that scared him, and he worried that if he told the truth, people would think he wasn't cut out for rodeo life. Tim listens carefully, realizing how much of his own story is reflected in Cole's words. The need to be strong, the fear of disappointment, the pressure to be invincible. Lightning flashes violently outside, shaking the barn with its power. Cole jumps, fear showing on his face before he can hide it. Tim places a steady hand on his shoulder, grounding him. He explains that the real strength of a rider is not in pretending storms don't exist, but learning how to stay steady when they hit. What matters is how you handle the fear, how you rise after you fall, and how you keep moving even when the world is shaking around you. The storm grows more intense, wind howling through the cracks of the barn like a warning. Tim decides to end the training session completely, telling Cole they'll pick it up after the storm passes. But before they leave the barn, Tim gives him one more piece of advice, something that echoes through the episode like a truth shared between generations. Being brave doesn't mean going alone. It means letting someone help you when you can't face it yourself. Cole nods, the tension in his shoulders easing just a little. The storm outside rages, but for the first time, Cole's storm inside seems to lighten. The scene closes with the two of them standing in the barn doorway, watching the rain fall in heavy sheets across Heartland. The world feels unstable, unpredictable, and full of danger. But the bond formed between them in this moment becomes a grounding force, one that will shape the rest of the episode in their